Welcome back to Time Served, the channel to you don't have to. David Solomon Duenas was on trial back in 2024 where he was given community supervision by the jury for a terrible crime. And I found it quite ridiculous, and since then he's been in and out of the 187 for various reasons. But boy, oh boy, this time he done fudged up, where he gets into it with the mother of his child and is now facing multiple years in prison on a revocation. I just want to preface this clip by saying it was very lengthy, and I will link the full clip in the description, but the version I'm giving you is everything you are going to need. Also, his ex was not on camera to protect her identity. And speaking of protection, this video is sponsored today by Aura. Have you or someone you know ever had your identity stolen, been a victim of fraud, been hacked or scammed, or had your info doxed? It's a horrible feeling when you realize how much personal data is out there available for anyone to buy or misuse. Here on Time Served Court Watch, you folks know better than anyone how many scammers and fraudsters are out there and how easily it is to have all your info exposed. So today, I want to introduce you to our sponsor, Aura. Aura takes care of the hard part, automatically removing your personal info from these broker sites, scanning the dark web for your data, and keeping it off the radar. I personally use Aura because of real-time fraud alerts for your bank and credit accounts, 24/7 US-based customer service, and a built-in password manager because literally I tend to use the same password for everything. And if something does happen, Aura includes up to $1 million identity theft insurance per adult and up to $5 million in the family plan to cover eligible losses. They've packaged identity protection and digital security all in one place and credit monitoring from all three major bureaus. Aura is all you need. If you haven't taken this seriously yet, I am. I'm not leaving myself vulnerable to anyone, and neither should you. So try Aura free for 14 days at aura.com/time served. In those 2 weeks, Aura will start scrubbing your info off data broker sites and setting up alerts and protections. Protect your identity, protect your family, protect your future before the scam or hack hits you. All right, now that we're locked in, like and subscribe, set your notifications to all. Let's roll, nerds.
2023 CR 2677 State versus David Solomon Duenas. Could I have parties announced for the... this was a jury trial.
Yes.
Okay. Did you review the document entitled Motion to Revoke Community Supervision with your attorney? Did you understand it? Are you the same David Solomon Duenas who was placed on community supervision by jury in 2023? Placed on community supervision by the court, which followed the recommendation from the jury, and 2023 CR 2677 for the offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon on January 23rd, 2024 for a term of 5 years. Is that you?
Yes, ma'am.
State?
Violation condition number 1, on or about the 9th day of October 2025 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant, David Solomon Duenas, committed the offense of assault on violation condition number 1.
How do you plead to that? True or not true?
Violation condition number 2, on about the 12th day of September 2025 in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant, David Solomon Duenas, did then and there illegally use a controlled substance. Number 2.
How do you plead to that? True or not true? All right, state, call your witnesses.
This time, Your Honor, state will call Terrence Williams.
All right.
Terrence Williams.
All right, state, you may proceed.
Good afternoon, Mr. Williams.
Good afternoon, sir.
Could you please introduce yourself to the court?
My name is Terrence Williams. I'm a CSO for 30 times
How long have you been a CSO with the Bexar County, Bexar County?
since 2025.
In your employment with Bexar County probation, have you come into contact with someone whom you now know to be David Solomon Duenas?
Yes, sir.
You see that person in the courtroom today? What did you go over with Mr. Duenas on that day when you first met him?
So some things I went over were his employment, place of address, and had he had any contact with law enforcement, with police, or any arrests.
And what was the purpose of that last question for having any contact with law enforcement or arrests?
The purpose for that question was to determine if he was violating any conditions under his probation.
And what condition of probation would that be?
Violations of committing a new offense.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Ms. Lozano. Do you know someone by the name of David Solomon Duenas?
Yes.
How do you know him?
My ex-fiance.
How long have you known him? Do you recall making a statement to the police recently?
Yes.
We're looking at a copy of the report will refresh your memory as far as when that interaction with the police took place.
Yes.
Judge, I'm going to object to her refreshing her memory with something that's other than her statement. The police report is the officer's version of what he did at the scene, not what she said. She needs to look at her own witness under the Gaskin rule. She's got to see her own statement that she wrote or video statement. Refreshing her memory with somebody else's is inappropriate.
Right?
No, that's not the law. The objection will be overruled.
You have a close witness, ma'am?
Yes.
Ms. Lozano, if you could look at this page, please. Look at it to yourself. Do not read aloud from it. And look back at me once you feel like your memory has been refreshed. Okay, so you don't remember specifically the sequence, but was there a second time when he charged at you?
Yes.
What happened during that second time that he charged at?
He went, I don't remember if I cowered. I don't remember if I gave him my back or if he charged me like head straight, but, he went for my neck again.
And was he able to put his hands around your neck this second time?
Yes. Broke my phone.
He broke your phone. Okay, and what did you do after he broke your phone?
I think that's the one where he, ordered me into the kitchen.
Okay, so he cornered you in the kitchen. What happened after he cornered you in the kitchen?
And that time I couldn't breathe.
That time he choked you, you couldn't breathe?
Yes.
So he had his hands, did he have his hands around your neck?
Yes.
Do you remember how long he had his hands around you?
I don't remember if it was both hands or how long.
All right, any other questions? Or do you pass the witness?
This time?
Defense?
Ms. Lozano, you started with telling the court you were not really interested in being here to testify today. Is that right?
Yes.
And there's multiple reasons for that, correct? One of the reasons is you don't remember all the things you said to the police that day. Is that fair?
Yes.
There's another reason because when the two of you get into arguments, you both get physical with each other sometimes. And you're concerned about being under oath in front of a judge, admitting to striking or assaulting my client. Isn't that true?
Objection, Your Honor, to television.
Overruled.
Well, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. How long did you and David live together?
I want to say 4.5 years.
Okay. And in those 4.5 years, there were previous arguments that turned physical, correct?
Yes.
And in some of those instances, you assaulted David, correct?
Yes.
And in some of those instances, you used weapons and or whatever you could find to put your hands on to assault him, correct?
What are like?
Well, for example, there was an occasion where you hit him with a frying pan or a pan of some kind in the kitchen and split his head open, correct?
In self-defense, yeah.
So you and he have had this kind of a relationship up until you separated,
Yes.
right? And so, to be honest, he was coming over there to pick up your daughter, y'all's daughter, and take her for the evening, correct?
Yes.
And when he found that she was asleep, he changed his mind and said, I'm going to let her sleep. And he decided he was going to leave her there, right? Do you remember that? Okay. Isn't it true you told him, no, I already have plans. I was going to go out and you need to take her. I can't leave her here by herself. You don't remember that conversation?
No, I never said that I was going to leave it. So.
Well, not that you're going to leave her by herself, but she was too young to be in the house with your older children. Correct?
No.
That wasn't a point of contention.
I did mention that I had plans that night, yes.
So the person who got upset or the problem that occurred was when you got upset to him choosing to leave the child and not take her because she was already asleep.
Object this argument.
Overruled.
When David eventually came down and had the baby in his hands, isn't that when y'all were still arguing? He never, well, you say he put the baby down, so at some point he must have had her.
Right, yes. we
Okay.
have.
And isn't it true that you became physical with him while he was still holding the baby in his hands?
That's not correct.
Okay. But at that point, you were already arguing.
It wasn't really arguing, we were just exchanging words.
Okay. Well, then what would be the need for him to put the child down? Isn't it because you were approaching him in an aggressive fashion? Okay. So he put her down so that he could commence the assault on you. Is that the position you're taking?
Right.
So, Ms. Lubano, what statement or information did you review before your testimony here today?
Like if I read my statement.
Right. Do you have a handwritten statement that you wrote that you might have read before you came down here today?
No.
Okay. Did you have a video statement that you watched?
No.
So you don't remember, you didn't refresh your memory before you came to testify about what you told the police? So is it your testimony that he never restrained you, put his hands on you, or anything like that in response to what you did first?
No.
He didn't do anything.
Right,
He just unilaterally decided, I don't like the way this conversation is going, I'm just going to choke you. Is that what you're telling the court?
I requested the key for the apartment and that's what upset him, yes.
Now, did you request the key, or were you being demanding or physically aggressive with him?
Yes, to answer your other question.
Overruled.
Can you ask that again, please?
Well, the way you're saying it to the court right now, I asked for the key back, makes it sound like it was a very simple, calm request.
Right.
Is that exactly the way it happened, or was it a different demeanor?
Yes, I asked for it calmly. He said that he doesn't stop by unwanted or like without letting me know first, and then he asked me why do I need it. I did become upset, told him that I don't need to explain myself.
But to be clear, Ms. Lubano, this was his apartment, correct?
Yes,
In other words, the lease was in his name.
Yeah.
And so he was ultimately responsible for the condition of the apartment
right,
and to return it in good order.
yes,
So him having the key, you weren't really in a position to demand that he give it back to you, correct?
Sustained.
And it got worse from there. Is that fair to say?
yes.
Okay. Now, you guys weren't by yourself at that time, right?
Right.
Who was there?
My 11-year-old daughter.
Okay. And your 11-year-old daughter has seen you and David fight before, correct?
Not physically, no.
She's heard the arguments.
Yes,
And on this particular occasion, she did witness, correct?
yes,
So if she would have been made available to law enforcement or to the state, they could get an eyewitness's version of what took place.
right,
Who the aggressor was, who did what.
right.
Okay. But that hasn't been done. Or I'll ask another question.
Sustained.
Have you advised the state that you had an eyewitness who could corroborate your version of the events?
No.
Do they even know that?
But that's why I'm not having this investigation.
In essence, you were the first one to get upset because of his taking that position at that point.
I didn't get upset, no.
Okay. Now, are you concerned that there's things that you told the police on the dating question that are not true?
No.
Are you concerned that he's going to be subject to going to prison over false statements you made to the police? Or misleading statements to the police? Is that part of the reason why you didn't want to testify, is that you didn't want to be put in a position of having to say things today that may or may not match what you've said in the past?
Sustained.
I think it's cross-examination, Judge, but I'll move on.
No, I mean, he's saying it's been asked and answered. So that's the objection I'm sustaining, but you can ask more questions.
On the whole, Mr. Lubano, isn't it fair to describe your relationship as one where both of you have been in the wrong in terms of how you treated the other person on occasions?
Yes,
Up to and including being physical with the other person. And a similar instance like that is what happened in October of this year. Like, he's grabbing you and you were swinging at him. That's my question.
no,
So you never attempted to strike him in any form or fashion. Okay, and you were totally defenseless the entire time and did nothing in terms of participating in a fight. I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you. Okay,
Please.
sure.
Do you see the person in the courtroom that did this to you?
Yes.
Could you please point him out and describe him by an article of clothing that is wearing?
Can you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right, you're gonna need to speak up so I can hear and the court reporter can hear. You can lower your hand, state your name for the record. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Mr. Duenas, do you recall the incident in October with Ms. Libana who just left?
Sure.
And do you agree with her that the two of you were together in a living together relationship for 4 years or more?
Sure.
And you have a child together?
I can barely hear you. I know the court reporter is struggling. All right, the objection to speculation as to the thoughts and feelings of the complainant, that will be sustained.
Okay, so what was the reasoning for you to be there that day?
She asked me to call me while I was at work if I could pick up the baby. She had plans.
Okay, and did you agree to do that?
Yes, I was going to dinner with my partner.
Okay, and were you working that day? And so what time did you make plans to be there to pick her up? Okay, and so did you get to her apartment around roughly that hour? Okay, and what was her demeanor like or her behavior at the time when you first encountered her that night?
She was fine.
Okay, so everything is fine. Okay, and at some point did that change? And what caused that to happen? A little bit louder, Dave,
The
please.
baby was leaving. I couldn't wake her up. She was tired and put her out. We couldn't come back to her tomorrow. I was off the next day.
How did she respond to that?
She said she already made plans and I was already there for me to take her. And I told her that she was feeling real out of her mind when she was tired. I was very vague. Since I was the girl in the morning.
So you didn't leave her upstairs to sleep, you actually picked her up and we're gonna take her.
Yes.
What was your concern, Dave? Why did you not want to do that?
I've been home in 8 months, so she's not that comfortable with me again. So
Objective speculation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can finish your answer.
she not that comfortable. She has with it. She cries, and so I didn't want that to happen.
Okay, and did you express that to her?
Yes. So she replied that she needs to get used to deciding to take her.
And at some point, did the tone of voice between you or her change? Okay, and then what proceeded to happen next?
And that I whatever I want, and
Objective state hearsay, Your Honor.
Overruled.
So she's cursing at you, she's upset with you, and what happens next?
she told me about money. She wanted money and how much spending with my son. Like giving her money to her apartment and helping her out.
Okay, so even though the two of you had separated, she's still living in an apartment that you're financially obligated to pay, is that right?
Objective leading, Your Honor.
Overruled.
So all these things start coming out from her complaints, suggestions, comments, whatever you want to call them, after you told her you were going to leave the baby.
Objective leading and relevance.
Overruled.
You tell the judge, David, tell me what happens after you tell her that you don't want to take her in that condition she was in at the time.
She was wow. Not giving enough time for the baby and helping her out. That's it. Just that part of how she let it eat, so that made her mad. We just continued to argue back and forth on the kids. And, she was in a car with them.
Okay, so what did she do next?
Home.
Okay, she grabbed your phone? Okay. So why was she grabbing your phone if you know?
This girl grabbed it. There's a friend of mine.
Objective speculation, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Has she ever taken that tactic with you in the past when you guys have argued? Okay. Now, I asked her the question about whether or not she'd ever been physical with you. What is your answer to that question? Okay. And so when I say that, describe for the judge the kinds of actions she's taken against you in the past.
And on my head in front of the children and the fun of talking to I had nothing.
Now you say glass pan. Describe it for the court.
That's
Okay, so it's like a dish that you would store food that's cooked in. Okay. Did it break? And what was the injury that it caused to you? And did you file a police report as a result of that? Okay. Is this the first time that she'd gotten to that extreme with you? So that was the last day that the two of y'all were together? Okay. Now, you heard the way she described the way that you were acting that day, correct? She characterized it as you charging at her. Did you do that?
We're fighting over the phones. We discussed this. We didn't charge her.
So it was strictly the two of you. Were you fighting over your phone or fighting over hers or both?
Well, she had mine. I had her. But just trying to avoid it.
Okay. So at any point other than trying to get your phone back or taking hers, did you put your hands on her? Okay. She talks about being cornered in the kitchen. Did the tussle or the back and forth over the phones move around the apartment?
I'm not charged for the phone. She would walk back and then try to get her my phone. But we still was back and forth.
Okay. You heard me ask her about her 11-year-old. Where was she at this time?
Watching.
Well, when you say she's watching, where was she? So in the same room y'all were in. Would you say she was there the whole time? Are you on good terms with her?
Yeah, objectives are relevant, Your Honor.
Sustained.
To your knowledge, something else. Why did you leave after this all kind of, I guess, calmed down?
She would be my phone back so I little kid. And I broke it her. The daughter started crying and hugged her and
Now, since she's gotten this protective order, has she reached out to try to communicate with you?
Objectives to relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
Since the protective, well, let's go back. Did you agree to a protective order with her? And when did that happen? Okay, so sometime after October. And you agreed to it in the sense that you signed off on, is that right?
Yeah.
Now, even though you got that order, has she still tried to communicate to you directly or through another person?
Objectives to relevance.
Overruled.
Has she tried to get messages to you or to communicate with you even though the protective order is in place? Does she contact your family? I'll pass away, Judge.
State.
Mr. Duenas, you have animosity toward Ms. Luano, correct?
I don't know what that word means.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Can you turn towards me?
I don't know what that word means.
You don't like her really anymore, do you?
I still love her. Mother of my daughter.
I can't hear you again. Could you?
I still love her. She's the mother of my daughter.
Well, you have anger towards her, right? You don't have any anger towards her at all. So you just left because you just wanted to leave, right? Because it was a happy situation for you to leave, right? You were happy in doing so. You weren't angry at all at her because of what you're saying she did to you, right?
From that day? From what day?
Okay, well, let me help you out then. We were testifying earlier with Ms. Martinez asking you questions that you don't live with her anymore, right?
Yes.
If you had moved out, right?
Yes, sir.
You were angry in doing so, right?
I was just sad that
our family is broken, so I left. There's nothing I could do.
There was nothing at all you could do to try and make things better, right?
No,
You certainly couldn't act better on your end towards her, right?
because I moved, I made my decision to get away from her.
Okay. So because of that, and you having to now live somewhere else, this is an inconvenience for you then, right?
Oh,
Okay. You have to make arrangements with her whenever you want to see the child that you have in common then, right? No, you don't. So you just go whenever you want to over there?
either he said yes or no, and I don't argue.
Right, exactly. Those are arrangements that you're making with her to see the child, right?
Oh, yes,
Okay. So on this day, you had made an arrangement to go and see your child then, right?
she made an arrangement with me.
So you never reached out to her first?
She reached out to me.
She reached out to you. Okay, so, but you still said, okay, I'm gonna go and see my daughter then, right?
Yes,
You went over there after work, as you testified earlier, right?
yes,
Okay, and when you got there, you went to go and see your daughter, right, who was upstairs sleeping?
yes,
Okay. And after that, you brought her downstairs, right?
yes,
Was she still asleep at that time?
yes,
All right. And then there was an argument that took place between you and Miss Lavanu, right, about a key to the apartment?
more things too, but yes.
Okay, well, that was one of the things you argued about, right?
Yes,
And you didn't want to give it to her because it's your apartment, right?
yes,
Because in your opinion, she doesn't have a right to have a key to the apartment that she lives in with her children, right?
she was moving out.
Well, at the time it wasn't though, right?
No,
The time it was active,
the lease was already expired and
it was expired, so you were allowing her to live there after at least it expires. Is that what you're saying?
yes, because she was moving out, she said.
Okay, so the apartment complex was aware that there's someone living in this apartment that's not on the lease.
Yes,
Okay, that's what you're saying. All right, so you get there that day and you guys have this argument about that makes you angry, right?
no,
You didn't get angry about anything. Okay, so you're calm, having a conversation with her the entire time.
about the key, I wasn't upset,
Okay, but okay, other things then upset you then, right?
but
Yeah, you got upset, so you went at her, right?
no,
You never went at her? You never put your hands on her neck? Never choked her at all? Never lifted her off the ground with your arms around her and on her neck?
not that strong to lift the ground now, I would never,
Okay, so you never did that either. That's not true.
no, it's not true.
Okay, so the only thing you did is grab her phone and smash it then, right?
I said, you grab my phone.
After she grabbed yours. So you grabbed yours in retaliation and you smashed it because you felt like it's your phone and you own it and you can do whatever you want, right?
Yes,
Okay. So, and this was done in front of her children there, right?
yes,
You felt like that was appropriate behavior to act like that in front of two children?
No.
You still did it anyway though, right?
yes,
Okay. One of them being yours, right? Okay, so it didn't matter to you at that point how that might affect them, right? You were just too angry to care about that. You were, okay, so you just snapped the phone in a calm, nice manner, right?
father's very trying to get out.
Wanted to get out, so you did that. You just got out there and you left your child there, right?
Yes.
At that point, you didn't care, you just wanted to get out. And you're obviously aware that you're on probation for a case that you had gone to jury trial on, right?
Yes,
And is it important to you to keep up with the terms of those probation?
yes,
Because you want to be on probation.
yes,
You want to do well on probation.
yes,
And you felt like this was the appropriate way to show that you're doing well on probation?
that's why I wanted to leave that date, that's why I was trying to leave.
You were trying to leave, even despite all this stuff, you were wanting to leave because of your probation.
Because she kept saying she was gonna call the police.
Did you ever call the police that day to tell them your version of what happened?
No, because I didn't hurt her, so I wasn't aware of anything. I just thought it was, I didn't hurt her, she didn't hurt me, I just thought we would just talk to each other, and just blow it over, and she'd apologize, because she always does, she'll apologize. And we try to co-parent, that's all I thought was gonna happen, I didn't hurt her, I didn't do anything to her, so I didn't think of anything was gonna happen.
All right, any other questions?
From the state.
With regards to violation of condition number 2, The court is finding it not true. The court will note for the record that the probation officer did state that Mr. Duenas, I believe, tested positive, but the court is not considering that because I know that the defense was bringing the witness strictly for the purposes of how he was doing on probation, and with regards to whether or not he tested positive, lab reports would need to be presented, and the person, whoever is responsible for doing the testing, would need to come in and testify. So that'll be found not true. With regards to violation of condition number 1, the court is finding violation of condition number 1 true. Is there a request from the state?
Yes, Your Honor, that request is to revoke the defendant's probation and sentence him to 2 years in prison.
All right, defense.
Well, clearly, Judge, we're not in agreement with that. And now that you've heard the testimony in the case, you can see why we're anxious to take this case before a jury and get a determination after a full and complete trial of all of the issues with all of the witnesses and other evidence that's relevant and admissible in court. Due to his performance on probation, Judge, and his obligation in terms of support, his voluntary acquiescence to the protective order, we'd ask the court to employ one of the many sanctions that the court has available and to keep him on his probation. If nothing else, at least until we resolve that new charge. The state's going to have another shot at him. In that case, they can ask for the full range of punishment, and they won't be limited to the 2 years that the court has in this situation. I think Ms. Levana was honest when she said that it's a two-way street. And she was being very kind to herself about that. When you smash a pot over somebody's head and embed glass into their shoulder, that suggests you the type of person that she really is. And why she admittedly was reluctant to come and testify in court, because there's things that she's done and contributed to this situation happening in October that she's not proud of either. I think they both are embarrassed that all this had to come to light in public, and they both could have done better and handled the situation than and so, Judge, in light of everything, rests in the court not to revoke his probation and to consider other alternatives.
All right. And counsel, have you completed the trial court certification?
I have not, Judge. I've been kind of busy last week.
Oh, if y'all will complete that for me, please.
So.
All right. The court is going to grant the state's motion to revoke. The court will sentence you to 2 years in the prison, giving credit for any time served. There's an affirmative finding of deadly weapon. There's to be no contact with Danessa Duenas, Christian Rodriguez, and Charles Waterson. And that's from the previous conditions that were given when you were placed on community supervision by the jury. To own or possess any weapons or ammunition. Okay? All right. Good luck to you, sir.